Yes, I'm muted. Thank you. See, this is why I need a moderator. I need to hire somebody to start moderating for me because I don't see how do these streamers like post to multiple stages at once. It gives me anxiety just thinking about it. Like, how do y'all have three different cameras, a light setting? Like, we've become a full-time movie studio. So it's a lot going on. But you guys, I'm going to be talking about a few things today. Just a short reminder, mysticism, magic, and technology. I will be teaching tomorrow. You can purchase your spot in class on my website, tailoredhealingcollective.com. We are going to be talking about the future of magic, technology, how they're used through rituals, how the simulation works. We're going to be talking about the subconscious mind and how it is reflected back to us through this very weird time in history where we're all seeing everything happen in real time every day through the entertainment industry, through the music we listen to, through politics, through finance, so that we can start keeping up with the future rather than being left behind. Because remember, the Akashic Records is showing everything. Everything we've ever experienced is right in front of us. And I mean everything across multiple dimensions of space and time. So it's going to be a lot, but there's VIP and general access, which you can purchase on the website. VIP access is going to give you an Oracle audio transmission file from me, so like a little message between us. Then you'll also get a PDF decoding toolkit. Sorry, a little tongue twister there. And then you will get unlimited replay access to the class, general admission. You just get the PDF decoding toolkit, but then you also receive the 72-hour replay. So you can always go back and watch it. But later on, it'll be posted to live, like I do it a week later. So you'll have access to on YouTube. So if you're not available tomorrow, you can catch it in about a week on YouTube. So guys, decoding, right? It's something that is exciting, but things that people get overwhelmed with because they don't really understand what is decoding. Like, how does this benefit me? And I just finished watching the first two episodes of the show, The Institute. If you have not seen it yet and you are interested in watching it and understanding what is being reflected back to us, I recommend it. Like I said, only two episodes out right now. Also, one of my decoder friends, his name is Real Enigmas and Theories on YouTube. He has awesome breakdown videos and he already did a breakdown of the trailer. So head to YouTube if you want to watch that. But I'm going to be talking about it a little because my experiences in the GATE program have been coming back up. I was in the GATE program when I was about 10 years old. I was going to a public school elementary in St. Louis, Missouri, and they used to pull me out of class. The way that I remember it is they pull me out of class a couple times a week and they would test me on patterns and shapes and putting them together. And I'm 10, like, I don't know, like, why are y'all pulling me out of class? I don't get that. But I remember seeing geometric patterns and it would be different shapes that they would want me to put together in order to create a bigger shape. So eventually, every Tuesday, there was a bus that would pick me up and it would start taking me over to a local high school. Now, it's interesting because my parents actually went to this high school in St. Louis, but they had like an upper level where they would take these gifted kids to go and do God knows whatever they were studying. And we're going to talk a little bit about that because I believe it's related to the show. And I know so many people have come on TikTok talking about their experiences in the GATE program, whether it be what are they listening to, like with their ears. I think there was a thing with headphones, them having you trace sounds. I personally don't remember that part. I remember some of it. What I do remember, however, is when I was in this program, they had us practicing calligraphy. They made us watch Monty Python and the Holy Grail. This is a very specific memory I have. And as a 33-year-old woman now, I look back and like, why did they have us watch this? What were they actually doing? Like, to be gifted, what does that even mean? Like, does this mean that your brain operates at higher levels? Does it mean it's like Stranger Things and you have psychic powers? I think Stranger Things is like a grandiose version of what I experienced, but I'm sure like at a deeper level, there's probably more going on there. So anyway, the Institute came out July 13th. And it's super interesting because when you study the matrix, you start to see that there is a pattern and a rhythm to the way that everything is run. Whether you're looking at gematria, whether you're looking at actual dates, whether you're studying ciphers, all of it kind of melds together into this big geometric pattern that we call life. So thinking back to the GATE program, I was only in it for a year. I remember being pulled out of school after that, and this was actually the year prior to 9/11. Actually, I believe it was like the same year, like the same school year going from fall into spring. And so when I think about it, I wonder, like, what were they studying? Were they studying gifted children for, psychic powers for the future? Were they really able to lift things with their minds? I think that all of that exists to a degree. But in the Institute, you have Mary Louise Parker, who plays the main character. So whenever I pay attention to like who stars in a show, I think about other projects they've been in to see if there's some sort of connection between characters. Because we all have a blueprint, right? And the way that the blueprint is written is like geometric code or binary code, however, your eyes visually pick up on things. And so in the show specifically, the way that this kid, they start off is showing him do a math equation, and it was about taxes, and a girl was asking him, oh, how did you do on the test, or how did you figure out the equation? And she says she forgot to do the tax. And I'm like, that's what understanding the matrix is all about. It's about the fine details that are at the end that people pass over and don't pay attention to, but collectively become a part of the programming. So connecting Mary Louise Parker to it, she was in this show that I love called Weeds. Y'all seen Weeds before? I'll wait to see if anybody's responded. This lip gloss is so sticky. Have y'all seen Weeds before on Stars? Weeds is about a suburban mom who's dealing the devil's lettuce to get by after the death of her husband. And her name is Nancy Botwin. Now, the reason why you'll find this interesting is because Nancy, you could say, comes from the word Anansi. And Anansi is known as a West African spider god. If you guys look up like the posters for Weeds, like the promotional posters, there is one where she's in the middle of a spider's web. Because our world, our multiverse is a web. It is essentially a web. If you've ever looked at a picture from NASA, from Earth's magnetosphere, it looks like a spider web. And the way you see Earth's magnetosphere is the gravitational shape around planet Earth looks like a figure 8, kind of like the Kali Yuga, if you're familiar with that. So her being this feminine spider energy, she's drawing things and these men into her web. And so, I thought about that. She's been in many movies, but that was the one that stuck out the most to me in my head. I was like, that's an interesting character. And she's like the head of the Institute. Also, you guys, this is spoilers. If you haven't seen the Institute and you don't like spoilers, do not watch this live because I'm going to be talking about it. And I wanted to talk about it while it was fresh in my mind before I lose it later, because y'all know I decode like 10 million things in a day. But anyway, this boy, Luke, he wakes up in what he thinks is his bedroom, but it's actually a replica of his bedroom. He comes out and sees that he's in this place called the Institute. Their logo is an eye, like the all-seeing eye with a literal eye in it. So you can already tell where we're going with this show. Psychological thrillers, it gives you Stranger Things vibes for sure, but it's more modern day. It's not in the 80s. Now, y'all know why they did Stranger Things in the 80s and why we see these themes repeating, because it was the start of the internet, pretty much. Like what we're seeing is modern day internet. The first Macintosh computer came out in the 80s. Think about Microsoft, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, mastering microprocessors, companies like IBM. And then also the 80s is when frequency changed. So the way that we receive signals and information changed. So this connected to children and psychic powers, the themes are pretty obvious in the show. So anyway, the kid wakes up. I'm not going to give you like all the spoilers in between, but what I will say is this took me back to the GATE program, because when I thought about why they're studying kids, well, kids are very deep in memory still. They're still collectively being taught how to feel, right? When you're developing through the different chakra systems, right? You go through a period of the sacral chakra, which is really developed as like your child age between like, I want to say like 3 and 9 years old, before you start making certain decisions that are, reflective of puberty, adolescent changes, things like that. And so I'm watching, I'm like, well, what if all these kids who are now grown adults, millennials, probably older, who are remembering being tested for this program are the very adults that they were intending to influence for the next generation. And this is why they're showing these shows. July 13th is a cipher also of 7-4, right? You have 7 and then 1-3. So when you're looking at dates, you can add things up to find like similar ciphers or equations in it. July 13th is interesting because this was the day that Donald Trump got clipped in his ear last year. Y'all remember that? And people are like, oh, that's fake, it's staged. But nobody ever really said why. All they say is, oh, the elites are trying to control us and, they're trying to distract you. But there's always more to the story. I'm like, nah, there's something else there. So July 13th is also interesting because it is 7-4, right? 74. 74 could be thought of July 4th. What does that make you think of? Independence Day, freedom, shifting in consciousness, self-awareness, personal sovereignty. And so for him to do that, being the 47th president, is interesting because it's almost like when you perform a ritual, you have to have a mirror energy, whether it be numerically, because people are looking at these signs and symbols around you all of the time. Are they actually becoming aware of them? Probably not. Half the time you're taking in information, pictures, numbers. It's forming an Akashic record in your mind that becomes part of a greater storage system, which is your brain. So the reason why the Trump thing came up for me is because the same person who directed the Institute directed From. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the show From with Harold Perrineau. It's kind of like The Walking Dead a little bit, but also like Once Upon a Time, where people are trapped in this town and it's like their zombies come out at night. This is what I got from my friend Real Enigmas and Theories too, because he talks about this show a lot. I'm only on like the second season of it, so I haven't seen it. Your Simpsons and Aaliyah decodes woke me up. There's an Aaliyah one coming today, so be sure to follow me or subscribe on YouTube because I have a deep Aaliyah decode coming out today. But Harold Perrineau was an interesting choice because Harold Perrineau plays the character Link in The Matrix, who's actually Aaliyah's husband. Now we know Aaliyah ends up, because she couldn't fulfill her role, she ends up getting replaced by Nona Gay. And before I don't want to go too far off track, but Nona Gay is Marvin Gaye's daughter. So there's a connect there, but we won't go into all that right now. Now, From is interesting because when you have a director, you notice like in different movies, they tend to put the same themes, songs, characters, and they just like rewrite it because they don't have that many ideas. We're creative, but we draw from experiences most of the time. And those experiences are collectively drawn from the dream realm where we all go when we sleep at night, right? Hold on, I want to look at some of the comments. Subscribing, I always felt drawn to her. Yeah, there's an energy there for sure. Do alchemists or elitists or, people with influence use astrology as well? Everybody uses astrology. Anybody who's highly developed will use astrology or at least a form of mathematics and metaphysics to understand the world, because collectively we understand through music, shapes, patterns, vibrations, which are waves, oscillating light that is coming through our mind's eye most of the time. So, but people interpret it in different ways. I know engineers who are creatives, but they don't consider themselves creatives because when you think of creatives, you think of the arts. But anyway, going back into From, Jack Bender is the director of both From and the Institute. And when I heard his name, I was like, Bender, like mind bending. I just take small things like that. I don't overcomplicate it when decoding because it's like you kind of lose yourself in the pool of memory and thought if you try to analyze every little thing. And sometimes it's like trust your first gut when you're thinking of something decoding rather than jumping straight into the pool, because this allows your brain to like collectively move and flow versus trying to jump straight into the deep end. That's how people end up going splat. And by splat, I mean like losing yourself because you're trying to do too much too soon. It becomes easier, like the way that I do it, it's muscle memory for me at this point because my brain is something I exercise every day. I pay attention to patterns, codes, numbers. I record them in my head, not because I'm necessarily writing them down, but because I trace memory. I also think I have a bit of a photographic memory too, but nobody's ever actually told me that. It's just obviously I recognize a lot of things. So going back into like the Jack Bender, the Donald Trump connection, it's like politics is influenced by the people. People influence entertainment. So collectively, the stories are reflected back to us. Now, the thing with the ear, this is why it's important. So in the show, The Institute, the kids are wearing these ear trackers. And this, I guess, just makes sure that they don't leave the property. If you recall Stranger Things, I think they had an implant in the neck that would track where they go and who they are. One of my Discord members also pointed out to me that in The Handmaid's Tale, they do the same thing. They're ear trackers. So he got his ear clipped, right? Think of that in an allegorical way, a representation of clairaudience, being able to hear, because if you are someone who's like with clairaudience or you have high auditory abilities, you're also picking up on different frequency waves. Animals can do the same thing. So I almost felt like that was a representation of it, because the first thing I thought about was an air tag, like an ear tag and an air tag, which, Apple has those where, if you lose something, you can find it because you're collectively tracking the field of whatever components they're using to make it. So I'm like, well, they're tracking these kids and they keep talking about air tags. What is this? Like, why would they politically symbolize this for people to see? Like, it's a form of entrainment and programming. And so as I keep watching the show, I'm connecting it to things that I'm seeing in real time. Now, I was going to save this for a video, And this is going to be a lot to follow, y'all, but you'll be able to rewind and go back if you subscribe to me on YouTube and see exactly what I'm saying. So my last 2 decodes that I just dropped on YouTube are about Drake and the Abrahamic bloodlines. They're also about Aaliyah, resurrection codes, the movie The Matrix, and then connecting like different multiverses through film studios, movies, companies that we have, because it's like they're all responding to each other in this human ecosystem that we have. And as we feed into different programs, this becomes embedded into our psyche almost like a virus. So especially like on TikTok, when you see like things go viral and you wonder, why do I keep playing that sound? You're looping something through your mind constantly. And if you don't become aware that it's a loop, you stop. My YouTube is Tailored Healing TV, but you can check all my links, guys, in the bio. If you go to my bio on TikTok, if you follow me there, or on Instagram, you go to my website, you can find all the links. My link tree should be listed as well, which has links to my Substack, my YouTube, my TikTok, my Patreon. So everything you can check there. But going back into, what I was saying a little bit about not just the ear tags and the air tags, but being able to track consciousness is what is happening in real time. So when things go viral, they're able to latch onto us. Are you religious? I wouldn't say religious, depending on what you think of religion. If a religion was knowledge, then sure. I'm religious for the Akashic records because Akasha just means spirit and air. So using the word religion, you're asking, am I like attached to a legion or a group? No, I'm my own group. But yeah, so these shows are reflective of real experiences. So they released the show The Institute the same day that Donald Trump got shot in his ear. Now, to connect it to the Drake thing, right? America is allegedly, and I'm gonna say allegedly because people like to, I don't know if that's true. It is connected to ancient Kemet, aka Egypt. And this does not mean it is actually Egypt, but reflectively it is, because the principles and values which build the foundational system that we live in, the ecosystem, is that of a pyramid, which are energy centers and grids that are built. So when you see people in the entertainment industry, right, and you see people in politics, imagine them being reflections or mirrors of one another. If you go to Drake's Instagram on July 13th, he said the pressure from the top makes your ears pop. Everybody thought he was just joking about Trump. But I think there's something a little bit deeper that goes and it relates back to Bloodlines. Because as I'm watching The Institute, right, there is this specific scene with Mary Louise Parker, where she starts dancing to this song called Werewolves in London. And when I first heard it, I thought it was Kid Rock because it sounds like his song all summer long, but he actually sampled Werewolves in London. And so it made me think about this song that has been trending lately by this group that I absolutely love. They're called Infinity Song. They're a group of siblings. I think there were 5 of them, but now there's 4. They kind of remind me of a black version of Fleetwood Mac, not gonna lie, but I love them. They have like this Americana vibe about them. I really love them. And they have a song called London Foxes, I believe. Now, you might not find this relatable because I have to show images in order for it to make sense. And I don't have all my images right now. This is why I need a moderator. But anyway, their song London Foxes made me think somebody showed me a picture of Wireless Fest in London, and Drake was wearing a vest with a red fox on it that said 11. Now, the reason why the 11 stood out is because y'all know all those rumors about him and Millie Bobby Brown that were out, and who did she play? 11 on Stranger Things. And I'm like, okay, well, there's something deeper going on here, because what is Wireless Fest like? What's the symbolism in that? Is it just one big music fest, or is there something else going on? He primarily featured a lot of artists that are either from the Caribbean or connected to London or the UK somehow. And I thought about British countries going in and taking over land like Barbados or Canada. Canada as an example, or the Bahamas. Like, why are these British invaded territories, and who was primarily here first before they came in invading? Why would this be significant to music? Because when people are elevated in the entertainment industry, hold on one second. One second, guys. Sorry. What are you screaming for? You're not gonna be on live. You might not want to come in here. I need some shorts. Okay, I'll get you some shorts. Hold on, guys. Quick pause. Sorry, guys. Sorry that we share an office, so temporary interference, but we're back. What was I saying? Can somebody remind me of the last thing I was talking about? London Foxes, I believe. Oh yeah, so at Wireless Fest, right? When I thought about that, I thought about Caribbean countries being raised up in the celebrity entertainment field. It's almost like their consciousness is echoing back to its origin state. And a lot of people have forgotten their memory, but how do people communicate best? Through music, right? We communicate through music because it is a way of shifting and elevating frequency. When you're tapping into the musical field, it's like being in the ocean. Different frequencies are where different states of consciousness exist. This is why some of us like certain kinds of music and some of us don't. Um, and so, you know, having a festival is so much more than like just a thing that you do. It is a way to collectively put consciousness in one space, in an enclosed space. Think about any huge concert you've seen. Like think about the 80s and Live Aid with Queen, right? This is different artists coming together to sell out stadiums. So they are controlling the consciousness. They are becoming the grid and kind of enclosing it in a certain space. And so I always consider like people that we see are connected to bloodlines we don't know about. They're connected to power sources we don't quite understand, because in basic curriculum, they're not teaching you any of the things I'm talking about right now. They're not telling you about consciousness and source and how it works and tapping into the grid. They give you a 9-to-5 job. They give you a basic standard education and keep most of the world's greatest secrets to themselves, because then people wouldn't be plugged into the larger power source. They'd be plugged into their own internally. So also consider, people wanting the government to change, do certain things on their behalf, and don't understand why they don't like reflect their experiences. Well, it's because it's equal and opposite. You are giving over your power, your time, your energy into a system that has been constructed to enclose its energy field. That's what the dome is to me, like whenever I hear about it. Because you know how people, they'll come on the internet and say, you guys, the dome is falling, the dome is, I'm like, this is the dome. The dome that you're looking for is not out in the sky. The sky grid is us. That is our magnetic energy and our solar energy projecting out from our bodies through our conscious memory, through our interaction through flesh. And it is coming back to us as we collectively remember ourselves and wake up to our awareness. So when you see an artist like that doing something in real time, like for the world to see, it kind of makes you think, well, everything they do must be symbolic then. Maybe not like every single thing down to the detail, because to a degree, we're all still human at the end of the day. But to operate at a very high level of frequency is considered like extraterrestrial or alien-like. And dude even came out singing I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston on like this flying disc. And I actually went to him and J. Cole's concert last year, and he had a UFO like for part of like the theatrics in the sky. And it made me think, like, why do we do that? Like, why do we show things like that? Is it intentional? And if so, if it's intentional, what's being said here? Now, your general people will come out and say, oh, they're evil, they're all trying to control us, but you're only controlled as long as you allow somebody to control you. If you're not aware of what's going on, yeah, you're easily programmable. You're not going to tap into who you are. So the thing with Millie Bobby Brown obviously got to me, because I've made a connection there before. Millie Bobby Brown sounded like Bobby Christina Brown to me. Similar name, similar cipher, but Whitney Houston and Bobby Christina Brown both died in a tub, right? They died the same way almost. And so I was like, that's interesting, because whenever you see 11 on Stranger Things, what is she always doing? What does she do to channel? She's in the water. She has to. Her name is 11. And I believe, let me see, the 11th element, is that sodium? That 11th element on the periodic table. Now you're probably like, why are you thinking of the periodic table? Because elements create our universe. Like, what'd you think Thanos and the Infinity Stones were? You thought that was just like a Ouija board or something? Like, no. 11th element. I want to make sure before I say something, because I don't like being wrong. Yeah. 11th element is sodium, right? And 11 also had a twin. Her twin was Vecna, who was Henry or Victor Creel, I believe. And he was 001, which is water, salt water interacting together. And so whenever he posts, like when I saw somebody sent me that picture from Wireless Fest, I already broke down the snow owl thing for you guys. And I was like, okay, well, there's a story there. People think he's a you know what. And I'm like, what if it's like a father-daughter energy? What if it's like the original Sophia and her father when she fell from the pleroma, and he's enacting it out as an allegorical story? Because why else are you like doing all this? And it also ties to a larger field because most people don't understand London is home of the Crown Corporation. And the Crown Corporation is in control of what? Everything else. This is why people are like attracted to London, Great Britain, all of that, because a lot of our roots, our language, the English Anglo-Saxon language stems from over there. So there's connections there too. I've also made a lot of references to the black dog. And on the gates of Buckingham Palace is a black dog, right? And who's a black dog in Egyptian mythology? Anubis, right? Who is bringing souls from life to the afterlife on his boat. So we are crossing through the fields of currency through our financial systems, through spirituality, and it's shown to us through entertainment. He is an adversary in political theater of Kendrick Lamar, right? Of Top Dog Entertainment. If you look into the dog, you know about the Dogon or the Dog Star. So when I tell you it's like a big spiritual playground that is being shown to us through movies and shows, and then numerically, do I think that they always plan things out according to timing? I think the best of them do. Some people just get lucky by chance because their mind is used to algorithms. I don't know that they're sitting in a dark room writing out prophecies according to date. I mean, maybe some of them are. Maybe they're like, they have that Nostradamus type of energy and they're like, and on today's date, on the 12th night, like, I don't think they do that anymore. However, I think that when you are collectively tapped into the psychic field, you can remember dates and numbers and read ciphers. And if you study things like that, I think like the highest states of Masons, and I mean the highest one, because they be thinking everybody who's a Mason is like a Dark Lord wizard. I'm like, I don't think all of them are. I think some of them are like on the lower end of the playing field. But they are obsessed with knowledge. I'm obsessed with knowledge. I'm just not a Mason, right? But I love exploring the darker parts of life. And by darker, I don't necessarily mean evil. Because that's also a thing, like, oh, because it's dark, it's evil. Not necessarily, because it depends on how you're looking at it. You also came from dark matter, right? And so if we understand our cosmic universe in that source, we know that even what we are connected to is the light, the other part of the light, descending back into darkness, and through ascension, we're moving back into the light again. um Should do Playboy Cardi. Y'all keep recommending these rappers to me. I start with Drake because Drake is easy. He's easy to spot. He is very clear about his intentions and what he's doing. And I do believe he is connected to the Abrahamic bloodline. His mother was supposed to name him Abraham. I just did a whole video on it, guys. It's coming out. Well, you can check the one I just posted, but it's coming out soon. I'm like, he's definitely King of David bloodline. He even posted himself on a magazine cover called The Drake as the Fisher King. And I'm like, now when have y'all ever seen Drake with a damn fishing pole? Never. He's saying that he's King Arthur, like King Arthur and the Holy Grail. I think even on his plot twist account, he posted a picture of Archimedes, the owl. If y'all saw that movie on Disney, The Sword and the Stone, remember there's the owl that talks? Archimedes is also a mathematician and made the theory of the Archimedean spiral. So it's like, it's little hints that they've been putting in our programming since children that relate back to hundreds and hundreds of years, of data. And this data exists among the larger grid, right? Our whole planetary system. And this is why in different cultures, there's different gods, different deities. They're all expressions of similar, but sometimes different energy, depending on who's telling the story. It's very interesting stuff if you have the time to look into it. And this is a world of knowledge, y'all. I'm like Belle and Beauty and the Beast. You know, I have this huge library of like 9 million subjects I can talk about from stories all over the world that I can connect back to you. But I think like my primary focus has been America, specifically American television, because it has been the driving force to how our economy, our resources are run, because we are easily influenceable, especially when it comes to the TV. We fall into the trap of light. Like, you know how they always say, oh, we fell from light into dark. Hello. What do you think social media has become? People literally falling from consciousness into a whole new spiral. And these spirals are different worlds, different metaverses that are being created through TV shows, through streaming channels, through anything that we're really interacting with in the grid. And this does, in turn, if you don't notice, impact the decisions you make. Like, think about people who scroll, right? And they scroll and they see somebody else's life and they think that this life is real. It's as real to them as the phone in their hands. And they say, I want to be like this person. And then they get into a state of comparison. And then they don't think that they're enough. And then they start trying to like mirror the energy that they see because they don't realize that they are the original source. And so this is why knowing yourself is a huge part and a huge component of, this whole experience, because knowing yourself, the Oracle said that in the Matrix, that they documented that part, Temet Nostra, which means know thyself. And so if you don't know that you are this experience, as you're watching these shows, coding, looking at ciphers, you're not understanding these numerical influences are something that's happening in the middle of your experience in your body. He said that's you. Yeah, we're all collectively experiencing the world at the same time, just in different frequencies in different ways. So when I thought about the GATE program and I thought about what I'm doing now, like, what question I get asked on here all the time, guys, is how do you do what you do? Aren't you afraid they're going to come get you? I'm like, who? Who are you talking about? The black van you saw on a television show? Who are you talking about? And so, there's several things at play that I think. I think that I probably come from a time where consciousness and frequency is understood at a different level. And it is very possible that maybe my subconscious has been planted in this time to teach these lessons to people who in another version of Earth may have gotten lost. They lost a sense of themselves. They don't understand that coding is just knowing yourself in the experience. And I'm like, well, maybe this is what I agree. Maybe this was my soul agreement to come back to Earth and do this all over again. Because I've had those moments, guys, where I'm like, why am I here? What's the point? What if it all means nothing? And I'm like, well, if it meant nothing, then it'd be nothing. But clearly, emotions are a part of our flesh and our DNA. And when you learn to master them, you become like the avatar. You know how to bend water. You know how to train fire, because these elements exist within us at the same time. Y'all, when I didn't read books like to learn this, though I have many books and I've given away many books and I've bought many books and studied many books over the years, what I will tell you is like, this is just life experience. What I'm doing, what I've done, because there's never like, when I sit here and think about like when I was 10 years old, did I see myself doing this? And I always saw myself as a teacher, but in this capacity, did I think in, what was it, 2003? Or 2002, when I was like 10, 11 years old, was I thinking one day I will be on social media telling about the secrets and mysteries of the universe and how they train us through programming? No, I didn't know that, but I'm sure whoever was training me in the GATE program probably knew that. They knew I was probably going to be, I don't even say be a problem to the system, but I was going to be one of those anomalies who would one day influence this. And I know it now because I pay attention to stuff all the time. I'll see it, like stuff that passes my eye on the algorithm and social media. And it's not that I think like a person, sat there and just embedded and planted things into my feed, because I've trained my brain and my mind strong enough to know when something is not right or when it's not something that is really how I feel and that it's an influence. Exactly. Be the glitch in the matrix that you want to see. But that's the thing. I didn't just get awakened. I've always been awake. I came into this world awake. This is why I think I struggled as a child, because I would get bored with school very easily. Like I already knew everything, and not like in a, I know everything more than everybody else. I could just calculate things much quicker than people. And because of that, I became a problem to my teachers. And then I, in turn, became a problem to myself because all other kids were embedded into the system. And I was always like, well, why we got to do this? Well, why do we have to do that? And like they could have advanced or accelerated me, but I ended up moving to a predominantly white school. And then when I moved there, I probably got worse. Like I was then put around with kids who were learning at a different capacity and level than what I was used to. I was used to being the smartest kid in school at one point, and then when I go into this other, this other curriculum where they're teaching them at higher and quicker levels on things to prepare them for different degrees of education, this opened up another world to me. So then I became the Oreo cookie black girl, right? I was listening to white music all the time. I was straightening flat ironing my hair to a crisp. Not silk press, y'all. This is a silk press. I'm not relaxed. I've not been relaxed in over 15 years. But, I got to experience more than one world. That's the easiest thing I can say. And I'm grateful for it. I do not deny it, because it has not only opened up doors for me, but also been able to allow me to code switch, right? Not just code switch in the internet talk, but also in the way that I understand things. Like I can connect pop culture to finance in 2 seconds. I can connect, things that are being embedded in the social media program to an airplane crash in India. And the fact that I can do this, I believe to some people may be considered dangerous, right? It's dangerous to have too much information and too much power at once. But if you know how to wield the sword correctly, meaning if you are trained in mental combat, I was never trained in physical combat, at least not in this life, but mental combat I had to train myself in because emotional warfare is always here. And this is like the tethered version of you fighting the current version of you. If y'all have ever seen like the movie Tenet, where John David Washington is fighting himself and the scene is like moving backwards and forwards, this is you in the multiverse, literally moving against yourself and choosing either we're going to move and flow together or we're going to move separate and opposite. But merging both the selves together helps you understand like what this experience is. Now, do I have like a one word answer for everything? Like, yep, this is the world and this is the only answer? No, because there's multiple answers. There's always a new answer to go on top of another answer. I just have fun uncovering it like a huge math problem. Y'all probably think my wall looks like that one meme where the guy's like connecting all the dots and stuff. I'm just connecting the dots of my mind. Hold on, I missed a couple comments. 1 second. Have you decoded the Boeing 737 plane? No, because we had like 20 plane crashes last year. Every time I see a plane crash, I consider it to be interference in the spiritual realm. And when you look into the people, the places, the timing, you can understand because air is like ether, right? It's spirit traveling. Even the way that a plane is constructed, you could look at as like Jesus on the cross. And so we are soul planes. We are vehicles traveling through the grid and consciousness in the same way you are building a physical plane, right? You're building a physical thing that is helping you travel. Your body is also the physical thing that is traveling. And so as things are happening, like interacting with each other like mirrors, because if y'all saw shows like Manifest, you remember how the people got lost for 5 years or they missed 5-year gap of time? This can also happen in the spiritual realm. This is why people are losing their memories and their data, because we've moved the way that we construct time and information. Remember we had VHSs? Remember there were tape cassettes? Remember there were CDs? Now what's that? It's streaming services. Now it's all digital. Now it's holographic, and because we do that, we can tend to lose that data and information. And when you have things that happen weather-wise, like floods, think about how many people lose information because things drown, they get lost, they get damaged. Our memories are the same way. So whenever I see like events like that, I'm like, well, what's happening in the spiritual realm and how does this reflect one another, to not explain it away, but understand how all things are connected. Hold on. Anytime I'm in school, I just zone out and don't even work. Yeah. Things are always relatable, right? You can use like math and science in the real world, but if you don't know, again, if you don't know how to wield your sword, it's pointless. I used to think math and science were pointless too. Now it's like one of my favorite subjects in decoding, because if someone ever tries to be like, oh, you're just putting together things that don't match, I'm like, so you're telling me our entire universe isn't connected? And people who are able to connect one grid point to another may be easily, it's easier for them to go out into the world and analyze the grid, connecting one country to one state or one person to one position of power and see, okay, why is this happening? Hey guys, to everybody coming in, I'm talking about a few things. I started off talking about the GATE program and how I was in it as a child. The show The Institute that just premiered from MGM, it's on Amazon Prime. Its connection to the multiverse, psychic warfare training, emotional stimulation, and how you can see like dates and why these things happen. I also, this is kind of related but unrelated, I just watched Ironheart, right? Probably like 2 weeks ago, I finished Ironheart, and there's a character played by Anthony Ramos called the Hood. And I thought this was interesting because I thought about Robin Hood. When I thought about red foxes, because remember we were talking about foxes, guys, I thought about Robin Hood. Now, Robin Hood, y'all know if you have the app, it is for stocks, right? It's supposed to help put the power back in the hands of the people, kind of like Robin Hood, stealing from the rich to give to the poor. And I thought about that. I'm like, well, you think of that, ever heard that phrase when they talk about like Robin the Hood? That's exactly what I felt like, because Hood wanted power, right? And he was using a tunnel system. They already admitted that this was a parody of Elon Musk and his tunnel systems. And I'm like, well, when everybody always talks about the digital underground and the underground grid, or people living underground, are they really talking about something else? Could it be mental, in fact? And not saying that there aren't underground cities, but y'all know that cities are also a name of organs in your body, spelled Siddhis, I believe. It's a Sanskrit term. And so I'm like, well, what if, since everything is mental and this is all the universe, underground cities and tunnels could be our psyche connecting to one another through the subconscious mind. If we're all one big brain, different tunnels could be different neural synapses in the way that we're able to connect or have telepathic connection with one another. I mean, even think about like how Bluetooth works. How does Bluetooth work? How are we able to ping one signal to another? It has to be through some sort of programming, some sort of metal, some sort of chemical influence that's happening in our lives. Do I have enough charge to turn that off? No. Guys, I have like 25 devices in here. This is why I'm like, I don't know, streaming is for me because there's so much going on at one time. Can you talk about initiations or mystery schools? I can't find any info. You won't find any info on it. It's a mystery school for a reason. It's like the Scooby-Doo van. Call me Daphne, right? Mystery schools are like self-initiated most of the time, unless you are already embedded in a larger program, you know, part of the entertainment industry, part of labels, part of universities or institutes. Those become your secret societies, fraternal organizations. All of those things are gate kept because if they just gave the secrets away to everyone, then everyone would have access to that power. If you don't join a fraternity or a sorority, if you don't join a group or you don't pledge your allegiance to something or someone, you're kind of like out in the open. So for me, like self-initiation is a thing. Because I was like, should I just like up and see what's going on with the Illuminati? Because I know too much at this point. But also I'm like, well, I don't want to use the knowledge that I have to hurt anybody. I don't want to use it to gatekeep because this world has been gatekept enough. And obviously this knowledge comes from an eternal source, one that has streamed across many lifetimes and many consciousness. So why not use my gift? My gift is speaking. I had to learn that the hard way growing up because I didn't want to speak at first. I have studied Kabbalah. I actually talk about it in my next video coming up with Drake and Abrahamic religions and their connection. I even talked about Aliyah and how to practice or have Aliyah is to read the Torah. And I'm like, oh, well, her and Zion kind of makes sense with the connection between Zionism, what's happening in Israel right now, the land of Isis, Ra, and El, and the whole Matrix story. It's giving it to you like in plain sight right there. But Abrahamic religions are also considered some of the oldest religions too. So you know that there are groups that actually follow it word for word, law by law, and they believe all of these things very heavily. And belief creates influence, and influence creates power. And it's just like it's a larger power source that's going out to everyone, and it's a language you either understand or you don't. Some people, you know, they pay to play. They do a little ritual here and there. You'll see in a music video or a show. That's their tribute. You know how, you know, Katniss in the Hunger Games is like, I volunteer as tribute. That's what they're doing, low key. Like, because knowingly or unknowingly, you participating in a system, you are helping its advancement. Utilizing your own source and your own energy to further the agenda of a program. That's your tribute. That's who you are. I got a better question for you. Someone said, how does Jesus play in all this? Why do y'all always ask about Jesus? There are hundreds of gods and hundreds of deities that people across all other cultures predating Christianity have named. Why do y'all always go back to Jesus? I would answer that question, but I'm going to answer the question with a question. Yeah, every god is real in a sense to someone, and placing one above the other. Exactly. Why not Shiva? Why not Shiva? Indian religion predates most of those anyway. And it's not to like talk bad about anybody. No, your level of understanding is based on what you've been fed. But that's why I say answer a question with a question. Why are y'all always asking me about Jesus? He comes up more than your mother comes up in conversation. Why is that? And it's not to like dismantle your whole idea of religion completely, though it kind of probably sounds that way. But it's also just to ask yourself the bigger questions. Why is this? Why is that? It is what it is, y'all. Because if I told y'all where the name Jesus actually comes from, and then I broke that down even further, that would just blow your mind. And we're not going to go there right now. We're going to try to keep it. We're going to keep it light and simple with MK Ultra programming and everything. Y'all are never going to get light and simple with me. That's why I had to like change my look up a little bit too, because if I give y'all like dark and deep and mystery, people may not listen to me. So I'm like, I got to give a little airy too. I have to give a little like more femininity, because all of my teachers, y'all, have been men. Every last one of them. Anybody who's ever taught me deeply about the occult has been a man. And I appreciate that, right? But then, when I get all this knowledge and I realize this knowledge has been within me the whole time, like, of course I have. I'm not slow. You ever watch Black Magic 363? You seen 19 keys? Yes. Now what? I mean, you just go searching for the information. You want an occult teacher? Start looking up occult topics, and anything can be considered occult, from astrology to tarot, to different forms of metaphysics. Hell, glamour magic is a form of the occult. So it's just like, think about what you want to learn. Look into your ninth house placements too, because that's the house of philosophy too, and world teachings. So if you want to learn about those things, also, if you have look at your eighth house placements and where those are too, because that's death and resurrection. Also look into Pisces placements if you have any, or Neptunian placements, because all of those are going to be related to the water and the consciousness and the grid. I know Jesus is handing the baton over to the women now. He's like, we did our job. All Jesus is unite. We did our job. Time to go back to the women again, because they know what they're talking about. Everyone's looking for a man for something and still ignore the women at 2025. Yeah. It is what it is, y'all. Like, okay, I guess y'all just gonna keep ignoring what we have to say, but it is what it is. Like, we've been telling you this. I have a womb. Like, I can't even explain. Like, I literally carried babies in my body for 9 to 10 months and then ejected a human out twice. Got cut open for one and pushed out another, and you don't respect what I have to say? I guess. What a life to live, right? But yeah, y'all. So anyway, going back into so much. I primarily wanted to talk about the Institute today, and I wanted to talk about psychic warfare, the web, the intranet or Indra's net, these nodal points of connecting consciousness through streaming services, through shows, through TV. It's happening in real time. Every time you watch a show, that becomes a form of influence. Every time you watch a celebrity, think about how people are collectively tuned into Love Island, or they were until the season finale. I'm like, what is that about? Like, are we going back to 2001 watching Flavor of Love, Rock of Love, For the Love of Ray J, I Love New York? What was it with those shows? It's like we're seeing a competition to see who's gonna make it till the end. But when we watch and tune into these things, they create the collective program, again, based on people's levels of awareness, right? And so if you're not aware of what you're watching, why you're watching it, you don't understand why it becomes a thing. And then when I say people, I don't always use the term NPCs, but I can tell everything about you by what you talk about most of the time. If all you ever talk about is one particular subject, or you want to talk about this show and you never advance past that, meaning you can connect it to other things, I see what you care about the most, kind of the same way as a financial data analyzer. I can tell a lot about your life based on what you're spending money on, based on, what you invest in. Because even the people who are financially bound, right? If you're not focused on investing in your education when it comes to the financial realm, understanding resources and how to use them, understanding your own energetic force, of course you're going to come online complaining about money. You're going to come on complaining about the elites. Yeah, the price of stuff has gone up. Supply and demand, but consumerism is also at an all-time high because people don't know what to do with themselves. They spend their money on things that are not going to last 5 to 10 years. They have gotten addicted to instant gratification. And so you wonder well, why doesn't this matter anymore? Have y'all seen fast fashion? Have you seen these piles of clothes in other countries? Third world countries at that? Come on now. It's about what we're spending our time and attention paying, or time and energy paying attention to. And non-playable characters, this is a game, right? How well you play the game is based on you. We can be Remember the Titans out here, or we can be the Gridiron Gang, whichever one you want to, but this is in fact a game. And all the people that you see in power are magicians or wizards in some form. You can call yourself a witch, wizard, warlock, whatever. Also, if y'all checked out my Decode, I was responding to this content creator. Her name is Portia DeShannon. You should go follow her if you enjoy Kendrick Lamar, Drake type of content, because I stitched a video of hers where she mentioned, she's I think Drake's a witch. I'm like, he is a witch. He's probably the head witch. He's over in London right now, over probably battling for Slytherin and Gryffindor as we speak. And we sit around thinking these are fake. Y'all, J.K. Rowling got a whole universe dedicated to her in Florida. And I believe they have one in the UK too, right? People are so in love with a fictional universe. It's actually a real universe that they went and made a copy of it for people to come and buy tickets to go immerse themselves into what they believe is a false reality. Now, the ideas are written and streamed into the consciousness, right? But then when somebody latches onto a story, they're like, oh, that's going to make some money. That's actually a real story. Think about how we can influence a generation getting addicted to wizardry and witchcraft, not realizing that it's happening in real time. Like, you got to sit there and you ponder on that, like, what do you mean? I'm a Harry Potter fan. I always have been a Harry Potter fan. I remember when I read the first book and I was like, oh my goodness, a school for kids to learn witchcraft? I'm like, oh, like witchcraft is a good thing? Wait, is it a bad thing? Wait, religion told me it's bad, but the spiritual side said it's good. And then some people just say it's balance. What is magic, right? What is esoteric? What is occult? What does all of that mean? And it's like, it depends on who you're talking to, honestly. If you want to be like, just keep it a buck, it's about who you're talking to. Because their perception is going to be based on the way that you are influenced by the idea. And that goes with anything. Anything in life when it comes to influence is always going to be based on perception. And if you don't have a larger perception of the world, like a bird's eye view on everything, then you're going to be easily like, oh, I choose this, or I choose this, or I like this person, or I don't like that person, or, you know, this person is right for this. Or like, just have a bigger perspective, right? They need another modern day US version of magic school movies. They do, but they keep ruining them. Like, what was the one with, not, what was it called him, Jussie Smollett? No, Justice Smith. What was it? The American School, Magical School for Negroes or something like that. It was terrible, y'all. I was like, who directed this? Because we would have, if you had a different director, but I think we got kind of a makeup with Sinners with Ryan Coogler because he obviously understands magic very well. That's why they call this silver screen. It is magic happening. Silver, the element of silver is 47. You know, I was just talking earlier about 74 being the element of freedom, going from the silver age to the gold stage, right? Silver and gold are the alchemical keys of heaven. If y'all have actually seen that, like, so silver and gold, even the way that, not just in the monetary sense that they're used, but the actual element, the energy that it emits is a part of us, the sun and the moon reflecting one another. Whose power are we using and what is the overall outcome, right? Whose power are you using for sure? This is another reason I find London a little bit fascinating because outside of Buckingham Palace, where you have Anubis on the gates, you think about, well, they always talk about all these secrets that they have at the Vatican. I'm like, well, what if they just have everybody's soul print there, like a blueprint of their soul? And so these souls are exchanged through the monetary system. And it's like somebody buying out another contract, a contractor buying out another contract, kind of like how TikTok is probably with Facebook, right? We're one company, one big shark buying another shark. And so together we become one big supercomputer, one big super machine. It's the same way through the monetary system as well. And so even Queen Elizabeth, the last sovereign of the UK, who was a woman, was sovereign of 32 states. 32 city states, that is. And so you're like, well, how does somebody get that amount of power? Where does that come from? Bloodlines, right? People don't know about bloodlines because they get stuck in the fantasy of like TV shows. I'm like, y'all watch the Bridgertons. You didn't wonder how they had estates and land and how they had ownership because they weren't owned by corporations. They were serving the monarch, obviously, but even the way monarchies work have changed. If they required books like War and Peace in school, or A Tale of Two Cities, or anything really that is not just regular standard American education, we would probably be much farther as a society because it is only the most brilliant of writers that typically come from different curriculums and backgrounds that can bring these stories into a modern day context for people to understand. So when you see like books get picked up as shows and movies, also look into the background and experience of the people who are writing these, because where do they draw these ideas from? I believe even, what was it, Apple TV? They had a show called Dickinson about Emily Dickinson's life, starring Haley Steinfeld, who played Mary in Sinners, and also had Wiz Khalifa in there playing Death. It's like the energy and the archetype is showing you in real time where they're coming from. And so to understand death and life, you know, understand the UK, the part that it plays in American culture, why it's connected to Egypt, France. It's like you have to go back and study history. History will give you a lot of clues that you need to know about what's going on. For me, when I start with standard American history, I go back to the Louisiana Purchase, which takes me back to France and the Merovingian kings, also takes me back to the UK and the monarchy. I think about when American culture was obsessed with King Charles dying, because I'm like, do y'all even understand the part that he plays in American culture? Y'all think Donald Trump is like the peak? No, he's not the peak. He's like the president in one school of a larger school system that is the curriculum of the world. And so this is why, the elite all put their children in certain boarding schools or private schools, because privatized education is given different access to resources. It would have to be someone who's either intelligent enough or in tune enough to go tap in and look into other things. Education is a privilege at this point. And occult education is even more privileged because that is your true mystery magic school. Learning about the financial world, learning about metaphysics, learning about things that are considered more scholarly, that is a part of top tier education. And especially if you're working alone and not in groups, it becomes harder, which is why people probably join secret societies. I'd rather be amongst a group of people with like-minded experience than walk alone and not know what to do with my power or energy. I'm checking some of the comments, guys. Make sure I didn't miss anything. I want to decode 13 Ghost. I don't think I've ever seen that before. I don't typically decode horror movies. I like psychological thrillers. Speaking of which, they have a whole theory about George Lucas. George Lucas stole that whole concept. I mean, that's an Egyptian concept. Same as, what's his name? Not George Lucas with Star Wars. Who does Dune? That guy. Same story. The Jed Pillar, the raising of the backbone of Osiris, raising the force, the creative energy, having a lightsaber, literally the same way the Tesla coil emits ancient Egypt. It's all the same shit, guys. They don't have any new stories. Once you know the mysteries, I won't say you know them all, but you see repeating themes all of the time. It never stops. Anakin Skywalker, Anakin, Anna, Anu, Skywalker, sky gods like the Sumerian sky gods. They really don't have new material that they're pulling from. They just go in the Akashic records like, which story do I want to choose from today? The collective public doesn't care about any of this. Let me look into it and figure out how to copy and paste. What are your favorite psychological thrillers? Let me think. My favorite one, show-wise, Severance was good. I won't say it's my favorite that I've ever seen thus far. Severance is a pretty good one. I do like another Apple TV one called Surface. I can't remember what her name is. Gugu, I believe, is her first name. And Batu Ra, I believe that's her name. She was in Loki. I don't know how to pronounce her name correctly. I probably need to learn that. But she was in this movie called Surface and plays a character named Sophie. So it's like the Sophia Gnosticism story that they're showing in real time. She loses her memory. She doesn't know if she can trust her husband. Like, same thing, the feminine source coming to terms with itself after losing its memory or having that divine fall from grace and coming back to awakening her source. This is also why they named the Sophia bot that. Sophia after the Greek word philosophia, world philosophy, world knowledge, wisdom, is the Da Vinci Code. You see, it's repeating themes. Names, places, locations tend to reflect the same story. Which right now, to go a little bit more off topic, is why you're seeing a lot of these entertainers like do stupid stuff. Like, okay, I said I wasn't gonna really talk about SZA like that, but you know how that SZA and Nicki Minaj beef is going on right now? Collectively, it has nothing to do with that. It's the feminine fighting the feminine consciousness. You have the crone versus the maiden. That's what's going on. Nicki would be considered more like a crone, not because she's old, but because she's seasoned and experienced. SZA is still a maiden. She's just now reaching what would be like her prime of her career, if you followed her for long enough. And her prime is not all that right now. And so the day before that beef started, I saw her post on Instagram talking about how AI is ruining Black and brown communities. And then I was like, hold up. I go back to her snooze video and she's twerking on a robot. I'm like, what are you even talking about? You embarrassing yourself in real time. Like, why do you post these things? And that's why everybody collectively at least recognizes that she lies a lot in the public. Like, you thought somebody wasn't gonna remember what you said, hence what you did? And then just like, and you wonder like, okay, are they doing this on purpose? I think sometimes people are just ignorant. Honestly, sometimes I think they're not aware of what they do, because who's having conversations like this? There are more people doing that Nicki Minaj pose challenge than they are actually thinking about the world's economy right now. That lets you know they can't focus on more than one thing at once. They do something viral on a loop until it stops, until they're given a command to go on to the next thing. SZA is a good example of this though, because even her album, one of her best-selling albums, Control, shows her with computers all around her. If you follow Levi, the great astral assassin, he showed during the Grammys, the 66 Grammys, when she's singing her song Saturn. If you know, Saturn is the god of time and discipline, control. She's singing for a MasterCard commercial about Saturn, dressed like a tree, hooked up to an entire Vine system. She's in collaboration with Kendrick Lamar, who has a label called PG Lang, aka programming language. You don't see a theme there? Ab Soul, who's also been a collaborator before, has been on his albums talking about DMT. I have to pause because you know the algorithm, like, she's talking about drugs. He talks about the pineal gland. He's talked about the world's financial systems changing before. He has very, very woke albums. These people are highly in tune, but that doesn't mean that they are not subject to human-like behavior, right? The same way I can spit this knowledge and still go cry about something, right? I still have human emotions. I still have things that can rule my psyche when I don't have complete control over it. And because emotional force is such a huge thing, you see why through the entertainment industry, it becomes heightened. When you have battles or people versus one another, like, you know how during COVID, they had versus battles? This is still the psyche fighting itself all the time. Don't Cry, Dry Your Eyes by Fugees is a decoded song about the Matrix. The whole thing is the Matrix, I am telling you. I have a copy. Where's my copy? I don't know where it is. Did I take it out of the room? I have a copy of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. I don't know where I put it, though. Y'all have seen me put it in here before. I don't know. It's somewhere in this office. I'm looking to see if it's around somewhere. I don't know what I did with it. Oh, it's up front. It's up front. Hi, welcome in. I think so. Ab Souls and Aleister Crowley. See, I like your thinking. I like your thinking, and shout out to you because that's what I'm on. Aleister Crowley also was in the UK at one point. Drake has been compared to him, but I'm like, you know what? I think Ab Soul, because he even jumped in on the beef last year, and I'm like, let me not use the N word. I'm like, can't you not see how you jumping into beef when you're supposed to be blind? And that's because I think his consciousness operates somewhere else where he can see things. I think that he is Kendrick Lamar seeing eye dog. And I mean that in the highest way, not in a bad way, because dogs are gods, right? So this energy of who's going to be the top dog, who's going to be the head god of this realm or this universe when it comes to the entertainment industry. Because entertainers are the most powerful because they are the influencers. That's why everybody wants to be an influencer now. They want to drive the collective public or psyche into being seen. But why do you want to be seen if you don't have anything powerful to say? What would be your point at that point? I don't know. Joey Badass. So while I was decoding this morning, remember I told y'all about that song London Foxes by Infinity Song? So Infinity Song, again, remember I said they're like a Black Fleetwood Mac to me. Only I think they're much better. Well, I'll say better because I still love Fleetwood Mac. They're another version of that Americana type of energy. They are signed to Rock Nation. And so I'm like, oh, this story is getting a little spicy. They're signed to Rock Nation. So I found out that there were not 4 of them. There were actually 5. Hold on, guys. I have to do this little puzzle thing. You know, they always make me do it to make sure I'm active in the live. Okay, so Infinity Song is signed to Rock Nation. They're known as the Boyd siblings as well. One of them is not in the group anymore. Her name is Victory Boyd. And so I was like, well, why is she not in the group anymore? I saw that she had some sort of copyright case against Travis Scott for using either her song or something in a Nissan commercial. And so the song had to do, I think it was called Telekinesis by SZA and Travis Scott. And I've never even heard the song before, but it piqued my interest because Drake was just seen at the Wireless Festival wearing a red fox with the number 11 on it. Remember the UK and what it's tied to as far as like the world's financial and currency systems. Foxes made me think of Robin Hood in the stock market, robbing the rich to give to the poor, but it's also happening psychically through information, through the way energy is passed, through the words we listen to, signs and symbols we show, even shows. So there's direct connections between Drake and President Trump. Also a little bit of Crowley sprinkled in there as well, because even the tech realm is connected. You know, Elon Musk, and now he's doing the X all the time. Like, he killed the bird, Twitter, to turn into X, right? X is denoted of Osiris, but also the X gene, the feminine gene at that. And so remember, Kendrick was on the Black Panther soundtrack. So he was like the Michael B. Jordan character. You know how everybody is addicted to Sinners now because they play that song the last time I've seen the sun, like the sunset, like Osiris and Set, how you had the setting sun and the rising sun, reflective masculine energies. So they're playing out, to put it as simply as I can for anybody who's like, what the is she talking about? There are allegorical stories playing themselves out through the entertainment and through media. If you are privy to these mythologies and what they look like, you will see these stories never really went anywhere. They are looping and constantly repeating themselves. And so you become like a grand wizard or a grand witch, whatever you want to say, when you know how to start manipulating that energy at massive levels, levels that are probably not comprehensible to most people. You think, oh, that's just a rapper, that's just a singer. You know what kind of power you would have to leverage to pull off something like that? What kind of access to money, resources, people who run that money and resources, having to extract multiple pieces of energy in the field in different places? And y'all think they just singers and rappers? No. Who do you think does their taxes? Who's doing their banking? Who's allowing them to go on tour? How are they living their lives? And the ones that are at the top are considered the most elite ones, who run record labels, one who are in control or sovereign of their own music, their time, their money. Those are magicians, y'all. Because who else could pull that off but a damn magician? Which, if you actually look at the tarot deck or the deck of cards, because there's different ones depending on what system you're following, tarot cards have been used since the medieval times, even before that. And they're depictions of the world's journey. This is why you have the main 22 arcana, like the 22 paths of life that you have on the Kabbalistic tree of life. So to a degree, you know, studying into these arts, these are considered the dark arts. To know yourself, to know how to manipulate time and magic, that's sorcery, right? But what is looking at your phone? That's not sorcery you're looking at? A construction of a literal mirror that you're looking at that through an algorithm passes massive amounts of information that have been through your collective psyche. That's not magic to you? What did you think it was? You were waiting for an actual wand? Wands are used and they're representations of an energy, but there's also other kinds of wands. Hello, TV remote. There goes your wand right there. Your phone can now be one. You can download an app that becomes a remote. What do you think remote viewing is? Being able to tune into the frequency or the channel of which people lie their consciousness at. So if you know how to tune your frequency, you know how to change what you're listening to, or even become aware of messages that you're hearing under the programming, then you become a fine tuner. You become a magician. You become a conductor of a symphony or a band. Y'all know I actually wanted to do that. That was my dream career. I wanted to be a conductor. I was in high school studying music theory, but life had other plans for me because that didn't happen. But I thought I was going to go to Juilliard. I was watching Hilary Duff Raise Your Voice because I didn't get to go to a performing arts school. But I just know I was like, I'm going to be a conductor. I'm going to be an AR executive for music. And I think that's actually how I ended in the occult world, because now, like, when I'm watching the culmination of my journey, I'm like, well, I always wanted to be in music. No wonder I have so much fun talking about the dark parts of the entertainment industry. And not the dark parts, just like the spiritual metaphysics that people don't pay attention to. I'm like, I'm trying to be the head the head astrology department of the entertainment industry. Get at me, hire me, because I will do this work very quickly and diligently to show y'all what's going to happen before it happens. And that at any point when someone becomes aware of it, that can change the field. I talked about this with my friend who I told y'all about, Real Enigmas and Theories. We were talking about the show From, and he was coding it with his community. And when they started becoming aware of it, we're like, maybe they are paying attention to us on social media. They're paying attention to what we're saying, and they're using it to decide what's going to happen on these shows, because these shows influence the reality. You're in entertainment. Yeah, it's a devious game they're playing out here. But it's like, it's also kind of fun when you start learning, because you're like, oh, so I can control my reality to a degree. Because like I said, like, think about holograms, computers. This is becoming the ultimate form of sorcery, which is why they're talking about an AI god. Now the experience that is collectively within the psyche is being reflected back through physical pieces, robots, tech we have in the house, Xboxes, PlayStations, Switches, all of those. And it's like, those are becoming the new tethered. Your tethered is in your phone. This is technically my tethered right now, to be real about it. Like, not because I'm AI, I'm ancestral knowledge, but I am projecting my collective field through a screen wherever you are in the world, drop your country if you want to. We are interacting with one another. How are we doing this? With no wires. That's telepathic in itself right there. We're speaking to one another from different parts of the world based on an IP address, based on a portal that we call TikTok, controlled by time. Like, when you really sit there and think about it, people want to go slow down. You got to sit there and think about, like, Canada, okay. California. I love seeing where y'all are from too. There are people have contacted me from all over the world. It's kind of shocking a little bit. I've had people like from Austria, from Sweden, from France, from Portugal, and I'm like, y'all watch my content? I was like, oh, so it's a good thing that I need to learn how to translate some of my decodes to other languages, but sometimes I feel like my accent isn't good enough. And if I come on here and I mess up, they're like, you didn't say that right. I'm like, okay, we got Africa in the house, different countries. Thank you. Philippines. Yeah, I've had TikTok is an amazing place. It is definitely, it can be a vortex to an extent if you get hooked on like content that's not like for your empowerment, but yeah, it's a wild time to be alive in this world. Romania, Kenya, okay, Montreal, Somalia, Philippines. I think it's beautiful that we can connect all over the world. I don't think the internet has to be a bad thing. It's the way that it's used. The way that it's used. Do I miss connecting in person? Absolutely. One day I hope to have like some sort of meet and greet where I can talk with all of y'all in person in different countries, come to different places and do this. That's part of like my destiny that I know is going to happen one day. But for now, this is like our initial point of connection. And one day we'll meet in person again. One day my life will probably be in a movie somewhere. It'll be shown and y'all be like, I remember when I watched her on TikTok. Now it's a story. Now it's a movie. I'm like, I already knew it. J. Cole even has a line. Was he on his KOD album? He was like, my life is so crazy, no actor could play me. I would like to choose who plays me in a movie though. I don't know who I would. I don't know who I would have play me in a movie. I've already seen myself in movies several times. I've seen Zoe Kravitz play a version of me before, or me a version of her. I've seen myself in the show The Wheel of Time. Obviously the Oracle and the Matrix, but there's like different versions because we exist in different ways, like we're fractalized energy of one another. And so when you recognize yourself in someone else, it's a mirror. It's a portal mirror. Sometimes you can find similar birthdays. For example, Tiana Taylor, right? She just came out at the BET Awards with looking like an AI robot, which has been done before, right? I recognize it because not too long ago, I made an AI picture of me and I said, well, what if we're all actually in the future and we're projecting ourselves through a virtual reality, dressed the exact same way? I was like, oh, well, funny, her name is Taylor. But it got deeper because during Halloween one year, she dressed as Akasha, Queen of the Damned. Y'all know that I've covered this in Decode several times. And I was like, well, what is Akasha? The word Akasha literally means spirit. Queen of the Damned, what does the word damned mean? Dam is actually the word for a mother of dogs, aka the mother of gods. And so I've seen a lot of dog symbolism between the masculine, especially starting like during Aries season last year and moving forward from that. The Dogon tribes, the gods, the dogs, Dogecoin, like they're all similar themes of death and resurrection because even through The Wizard of Oz, who is by Dorothy's side as she is going back home or go to see the wizard? Her black dog, Toto, right? All symbolism that you continue to see over time. So then the biggest question is, well, what do I do now that I know all this? You become the author. The pen is in your hand now. This is the never ending story, which I'm probably going to play that song. I want to hear it. But it's a never ending story. It is the story of the fool's journey, the alchemical journey, you know. To bring in like a little bit more celebrity chat, y'all remember Frank Ocean, how I decoded him in my Simpsons one? Well, he just posted on his page for the first time in a long time, I think. And he showed a man with a bow and arrow like the Archer and the Iliad. And remember, his brand Homer is supposed to be like a tribute to Homer and the Odyssey. The Odyssey, the story of Odysseus. Y'all remember on TikTok when that song from the girl Calypso on here, I think the musical was called Epic, and she was talking, it was a whole story of Homer and the Odyssey. It is collective memory coming back. So artists and musicians recognize this and show this through their music. Doesn't mean they always have to understand the story like entirely at a massive level. But when I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's funny, because I've been waiting for a response in the astral realm from Frank Ocean for a while now, because I love his music. Think about his song Chanel. Chanel is a symbol of the Vesica Piscis. If you've seen that before, Biking. I'm trying to think of his other songs. All of Channel Orange, which is the sacral chakra. He's talking about in pyramids, Black Cleopatra. He shows The Simpsons. That was the post for me that went viral, talking about Homer Simpsons, the pyramids, ancient Egypt, predictive programming and streaming. This is all just a big pool of consciousness. And when you see someone and you respond to them, like through the astrals, through music, through coded messages, it's like we're swimming next to each other in the sea of consciousness. If we're all out in the pool and you see someone who's swimming at your level, like some of us are in the deep end of the ocean, and you see somebody like, oh, I recognize you. Oh, you recognize me. Oh, we all at the party. We swag surfing together, to put it plainly. Hold on. Your Simpsons video woke it up. My career started taking off after that Simpsons video. It's been slow to me because I'm used to being on every day now. Monday through Friday, y'all see me decoding. Weekends, I'm trying to do lives. I do personal decodes for people. I have those services on my website. I'm teaching classes. I have a lot going on, but for me, it's moving slow. But when I did that Simpsons video, it came out April 4th. Guys, it hit 2.8 million. TikTok never paid me for it either. They still refuse to pay me for it to this day. But that's what collectively took my page from, like, I want to say I was at like 42,000 followers to now I'm at 108K. Is that as much as every content creator? Obviously not. But this is also a very niche field in which I'm in, because you got your conspiracy theorists on TikTok, but a lot of them aren't doing anything with the information. Maybe an ebook here, a course there, but nothing that's really going to collectively shift the field. So I knew when I attacked this field in the way that I do, I had to curate a whole persona with the way I do things. So when y'all started seeing me put my logo up there, start trademarking my name, this is a huge part of it, because imagine I never said anything and y'all just see me on TikTok and one day it becomes like Risa Tisa and they want to sell my life as a Tubi movie without even consulting me first. Then y'all be like, oh, I remember that was on TikTok. But then politically, I would have no power because I never took ownership over my own name. And so as that happened collectively, because that video came out in April, as this has happened in the weeks leading up to my 33rd birthday, which I just turned 33 a couple weeks ago, it was like, okay, this spiral in consciousness is now happening with every word that you speak, every video that you make. You are waking someone up in the grid. And so it is our job to wake one another up from the programming, from the massive sleep that we've been in for a long time, that has also been dormant DNA that is now waking itself up. And so, when you see one of my decodes, you may feel like your head is spinning, like, oh, that was a lot of information. Where's she taking us? Out of planet Earth. We are moving beyond. Whenever you hear people say, no, guys, we're moving to the 5D, the 6D, the 7D, we're talking about consciousness. We're talking about your understanding and awareness of being able to connect different points on a grid. So if I put 2 dots on a paper, right? You're connecting one line to another. Imagine when you're able to start creating a sphere with connecting different points of a grid. This is how your brain starts to operate at very high levels. So when I saw that that was a gift and power, it changed my confidence. It changed the way that I saw myself. It changed the way that I presented videos, and overall changed my monetary system, my currency. Not because, I'm just getting money, because y'all also got to remember this money goes back into the business, which goes back into my family, which goes back into my growth, which is going to impact the next 7 generations of my DNA should my kids choose to have kids. So even at this particular moment in time, that is what we call the year 2025, what's going to happen in 2050, 2060, the year 3000? You don't think what you do now has an impact on then? And then not many people can look that far into the future and consider that every action that they take now will impact a future timeline based on what you're doing, based on what you're aware of. Does this mean you got to be like me? No, because there's different ways to code. I have plenty of coder friends on here who decode certain things. I have my friend Mama Panda. She does glamour magic. You have Levi, the great astral assassin, he does a lot of, like, I want to say a range of pop culture and political programming at the same time, but showing you like what's happening numerically in the field. I've seen a lot of people, and then when they get the confidence to start posting, meaning they are creating their platform, Not platform like social media, but like brick by brick, you are creating your own algorithm. And when you're able to draw in power into that algorithm, you therefore become a more powerful person, because then you can control your own psyche. You can control your energy. You can control where this is going. So when you see people like, oh, I'm becoming my own bank, I'm creating my own system, I'm creating, all of this for myself, and then I'm putting it back into my family, you're changing and shifting the quantum field as you do that. And that's huge. That's huge, because then you start shifting the things around you, the people around you, and your energy becomes bigger and grows in size. You don't think that entertainers will become master magicians or wizards or alchemists if they didn't first master the self? They know how powerful their energy is. That's why if you don't have the confidence and you don't know who you are, you're like, oh, I just don't want to post because I just don't know if what I have is good enough. Y'all, there's TikTok pages with somebody peeling an egg that has millions of viewers. You don't believe in yourself and there's a page of someone peeling an egg? Come on now. Somebody has a gift somewhere. And if you don't know what your gift is, this is why the dark arts, and I'm just calling them dark arts because that's how people look at it, can be beneficial. Learning astrology. You're learning your astrological blueprint. You're learning planetary alignments and how they connect back to the exact time in which you entered the collective field we call Earth. Utilizing numerology, no different than using trigonometry or geometry. You're learning mathematical grid points. You're learning numerically how things are influenced. You can learn, etiology, human design. These are all different patterns and ways people are reading the collective field based on energy. And yours is specific to you. This is why not all Scorpios are the same. Not all Cancers are the same. Not all human life paths 4s are the same. It really varies depending on the way that you see yourself, the way you understand the knowledge, and the way you wield your sword. Your sword is your lightsaber. It's your power. It's your inner knowing. And then your ability to take that, the masculine and the feminine, shifting the subconscious mind and then the physical together and merging those together as one, is how you become that. Some people call it a wizard. Some people call it an alchemist. Doesn't matter what you call it, as long as you know that having control of your own energy takes back everything that you say has been stolen from you. You say, oh, they took my people out of my homeland. They took us from here to that. What do we do with that now? Do we collectively keep telling the same story of downfall, of failure, of things being taken over, or can we recognize that and use that as a way to shift the field? I could use my knowledge to say, yep, y'all, they just trying to oppress us, keep us down, keep fighting. Yeah, I could push it that way, but I could also say, I'm objectively observing consciousness in the way that it moves. If I think a certain thought, I see more of that thought. If I go away from certain thoughts, that usually is not in my field. The people that tend to gravitate to me the most are usually ones who have mother issues, or who are looking for mothers, or are attracted to dark mysteries but haven't found a way to eloquently explain what they are. Those are the people that are attracted to my energy. And I had to realize that the hard way by getting my feelings hurt a lot of times, because I would overlove and I would overgive. And then I realized, oh, I can control the way that this frequency is shifted. Yes, I am a mother figure. I have 2 beautiful children. I also am the oldest of 4 children on my mother's side and 10 on my father's. And I'm the oldest of all of them. I also have an old soul. So a lot of what I have is maternal instinct. It's also in my astrological chart. It's also in my numerological path. It's also in my human design. And once I started learning how to master those gifts, that's what shifted everything for me. That's what shifted me from just getting on YouTube and pressing record, or just getting on Instagram and pressing record, to learning how to entrap my gifts into my own library, right? So if you visit my website, I have my Oracle audio transmissions. I learned about meditation very early on. And because I did that, I started learning that the vagus nerve is connected to the center of creation. And so when I started studying my chart, I was like, oh, well, I have a lot of throat chakra placements. A lot of what I deal with is connected to speech. I also felt very silenced as a child because my level of intelligence and knowledge was beyond what was being taught at the time. And because I felt isolated, I was unaccepted. And because of that unacceptance, I felt lonely. I felt like what I had wasn't enough. I stopped performing. But I've always been attracted to entertainment and music. Why? Because it is the stories of our lives. I was reading mythology books at the age of 4. I was reading about Icarus and Daedalus. Like, I don't know why my dad was letting me read all of this back then either, about Icarus flying too close to the sun. But now as I look collectively at my life and the experiences, I'm like, oh, so you're a storyteller. Then I saw Sinners a few months ago and I was like, oh, griots, like, That's what we are. I think we get afraid because these words have been revered as powerful positions, because it is a powerful position to be a griot. To be able to transmit stories through music, through words, through sound and voice, and it be interpreted by the collective field is a powerful thing. This is why movie studios, why entertainment labels are as big as they are. They are influencing the field through radio waves, through signals, through auditory, visual impacts on the mind. That's the easiest way I can put it. And so y'all remember the scene in Sinners where Miles Caden is singing that song, and you see the ancestors everywhere. You see the Asian ancestors, you see the African ancestors, you see people who look like you're in the year 2010 twerking in the back with the same people in the 1930s cooking in the kitchen, because we're all still here in each other's fields, whether you see them or not. And in knowing that when you take power of your story, yeah, you meet the devil at the crossroads. But what is the devil? What is that experience? You meet an equal but opposite energy that can offer you a form of exchange. Quantum immortality starts to be put on the table then. You exchange your gifts for this power, I'll give it to you. But what if you start taking that power back for yourself? Miles Caden is that perfect reflection that Ryan Coogler chose of Robert Johnson at the crossroads. Singing the blues. What are the blues? Blue is connected to the throat chakra, to singing, to words, to verbiage, to rappers, to skill. To have that mercurial energy. If you know about Mercury, if you know about Hermes, right? This is all communication through riddles, through skill, through words. Even they say, y'all want to talk about Jesus. Jesus spoke in parables. He spoke in riddles. If you can crack the riddle, you've cracked the code, which means you understand the language. Drake said, I could teach you how to speak my language. Rosetta Stone. What was the Rosetta Stone? It was an ancient slab of encrypted knowledge. Napoleon tried to steal it and bring it back over to America or back over to France, whichever one it was. It's like, because knowledge is powerful. If you see that a society is so strong in structure and power, you want to learn its language. You want to learn its ways. Probably why Kendrick was doing that thing, not like us. He was trying to say something, but, lost in translation. I'll just say that. Let me read some of the comments, y'all. It is always a learning. We're in school on Saturday, y'all. But lucky for you, you can do it from home on a couch or hanging out with a friend. Yes, you should receive the link to your class in your bio. You get an automatic email for a link tomorrow. But if you haven't received it, send me an email and I'll make sure you get it for tomorrow. Guys, decoding class, if you want to sign up, is tomorrow night. We're going to be on Zoom. We're going to be talking about mysticism, magic, and technology. We're going to be talking about how the worlds are merged together, from learning about the simulation, how the computer is studying us, but we are studying it, and how to utilize that for the future, because the last tagline is preparing for the future. I don't give y'all all this without a call to action. A call to action is extremely important because information is just information. It's just dormant energy if you don't know how to shift and move it. If you don't know how to utilize it to grow, to expand, to become better, to become smarter. Yep, email me, please. Email me, please, if you haven't received your link so I can make sure you are in class, guys. VIP access gives you unlimited replay, a PDF Oracle transmission, which you will receive tomorrow morning from me before class tomorrow night. And then you'll also receive a PDF decoding toolkit. Then if you are in general admission, you'll get 72-hour replay, and then you also get the PDF decoding toolkit. The only thing you don't get is the Oracle audio transmission. If you are interested in decoding, learning the patterns of your own life, I don't do it like an astrologer. I do not do it like a numerologist. I have 3 different decoding services that I offer. One is a PDF, takes me about 2 weeks to do, and I'm looking deep into the patterns of your life. Also giving you call to actions. We go into everything from the frequency and harmonics of your energetic pattern to talking about movies and shows, films that tell the story of your life, notable events in history, figures, your challenges, your strengths, your weaknesses. That's available on my website. Then the middle tier you can get is a live call recoding session with me where we talk about a lot of the same things, but you will also receive a copy of my book, Decoded Reality, which is available on my website. And then my highest tier is for artists, people who are in the entertainment industry, or maybe you're in a different industry and you want to figure out how to use metaphysical energy of the knowledge of self to shift your future. And your future has already been written, y'all. Honestly, it's already been written. You just consider me your oracle. I am your transmitter. I translate the language of the cosmos in order for you to understand you a little bit better so that you can shift your own quantum energy. I also have a full library of different books, everything from the world systems of bondage to the multiverse of cryptocurrency, something for everybody in there. I even have a book for the moms, how to be a CEO of your own house, because there is no way that I could do all of this and be a mom at the same time. Like my life y'all probably think my life is chaos, because it is, but it's like internal chaos in which I've organized file folders. I have my file folders for my babies. I have my file folders for my daily routine. I have my file folders for the 90 things I see in the algorithm during the day. And then I have different sections. So if y'all are a part of Discord, which is a free community, the link is also in my bio. I post in the Welcome Gateway channel every morning, a transmission for you guys that comes from bot Declara, which it comes from my last name, Declue. And then we post in the stock channel every day, Monday through Friday. So I talk about the stock market, different markets that you can look at according to the planetary alignments and the energy. We have a brain mapping channel. We have a gematria channel. We have a crypto channel. And I drop decodes on those channels Monday through Fridays. Also, our most popular channel on there is pop culture. So anything that you see that connects in the entertainment or pop culture industry, you can drop. I will be honest with you. Discord is a lot. Discord has been around now for almost 3 years, and it's like playing double dutch, right? So you know when you're playing double dutch, you got the ropes and you're moving them back and forth, and they're making these loops kind of like the Vescapiscus, and you got to know the right time to jump in. Right now, that's what Discord is like. So when we see common themes happening collectively, because we're all observing from different points in the field, sometimes you can drop a couple pictures or a brief explanation of something you're seeing, and for all you know, someone connects it or sees it. Now, some of y'all are scared to be in Discord because I post a lot in there. You're probably like, what is she talking about? I want to keep up, but I don't know what's going on. It's like double dutch. Just know when to jump in with some information, jump in with a pattern. And it doesn't mean that it's going to collectively shift the universe in 1 second. One piece of knowledge can open up somebody else's awareness. They may notice something that they didn't notice before. And that's why I made that part a free community, because anybody can write in anything. I also have a music decoding channel. So sometimes you guys drop songs and ask for my bot to decode it. So we talk about the brain analysis of the song, hidden meanings, frequency that's activated when you listen to the song, call to actions that you may get. So you can see like the overall energy and observe of what you're listening to, what you're interacting with every day. Let me do one thing because I'm gonna hop off here. This was fun, guys. I'm actually probably gonna get on live later again this evening, possibly. I need to work on this next video that I'm gonna drop for you guys on YouTube about Aaliyah, about Drake, about Abrahamic religions, and what we're seeing through the matrix in the entertainment industry. So if you're not subscribed to me on YouTube, follow me there. This live is also going to be on YouTube for replay after we get off. It's also on Instagram right now. I don't know if Instagram lets you download lives at all, but I'll check into it. Decoding class, like I said, is tomorrow. All my services are listed on my website. I also have a podcast from about 2 years ago that has 3 seasons available that you can listen to. I am going to work on creating a decode with my friend I told y'all about. I think he was in here, Real Enigmas and Theories, shout out. But he's covering the show The Institute right now. So I think I might do a video on The Institute too with the things that I'm seeing in real time so that I can share them with you guys. But in the meantime, check out all the decodes that I've done. We talked about everything today, from MK Ultra programming to psychic programs for children, to the wireless fest in London, to, you know, these mind-bending shows that influence our reality, to social media. You're going to cover a lot with me. I'm going to take you to school with the things that I've learned, because we are in the school of life, and sometimes we just need teachers, and then we become the teachers of one another. I will say, like, you know how they always say Gen Z is cooked right now? They're cooked, but I won't say they're burnt to a crisp just yet. I'll give them a chance. I don't say it's all over for them. Sometimes they just need a teacher. They need the field has to be influenced by something of a stronger or an equal force in order for that to change. So if you have gifts, use them. Share them with somebody. Doesn't matter if they call you a kook or crazy. You know how many times I've been called crazy on this app? How many times they've called me schizophrenic? People who can't even pronounce schizophrenic have called me that. People who don't even know the origins of schizophrenia have been on here calling me names, saying all sorts of things. And at this point, I'm just like, you just show how unintelligent you are by your basis level of communicating. You can't even come to me like an actual human. And half the time I consider these are probably bots, aka agents, that are also sent within the field to influence things. But also it's like I love the block button. Block button's my favorite button. I'm like, bloop, you're not in my world anymore. Let's see, anything else, guys? I look forward to the live stream. Thank you for educating me with decodes and placements. Of course. Would you consider yourself psychic? Yeah, but I'm not gonna go around singing the That's So Raven theme song. I know what I am. I don't really think there's a word for it. I'm just tuned into the field. That's what I'll say. Dream interpretations. Yep, we have a dream channel too, guys, on Discord. You can drop your dreams. I don't post mine as much anymore, but everybody is always posting their dreams in there. And for all you know, you guys are meeting up in the dream field too. Thank you. Y'all are so mean, not a certified yapper. Y'all rude. Some of y'all don't have no home training. Where your mother's at? How do you spell your name? Levi, the Great Astral Assassin. That's him on TikTok. Follow him, please. He doesn't always post often, but when he does, it's fireworks. So go follow him. Follow Real Enigmas and Theories on YouTube if you're interested in the show From or the Institute or Sinners. He does great live decoding work as well. I'm going to start and finish the Serious Mystery book. Get back into books, guys. Let's get back to reading. That way we can become the master alchemists and sages that we always see on TV all the time. They don't just exist in the movies. They join in real life. You finally joined Discord. It's a lot. Like I said, it's double Dutch. Just learn how to jump. What's that movie with Keke Palmer and Corbin Blue jump in? Reading is hard. No, it's not. Don't say that. You're creating a spell when you say that. Say it's easy and it becomes easy. You say it's hard and it stays hard. Reading is, I'm going to be like SpongeBob, fundamental. It is fundamental to this experience. Think about how many people don't read anything and then say, you didn't tell me this or I didn't read the email. There you go. You didn't read. Stay there. Any other comments that I missed? Let me see. I just want to make sure I'm addressing everybody before I leave. Thank you guys so much for the gifts today. I am a teacher. Book recommendations. Depends on what you want to learn about. You can visit my library that I've created on my website, but also archive.org has a lot of free books that you can read into. If you want to understand mystery schools, you can read into Manly P. Hall, Aleister Crowley. If you want to read into conscious programming or mycelial networks, you can read Terrence McKenna, Rick Strassman. If you want to learn about the financial world, literally anybody who's in finance. It just depends on what you're interested in, honestly. I could talk about any subject. But okay, guys, thank you so much on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok for joining the live. I'm going to get better about this. I need to hire a moderator because this is a lot to do alone, but I'll figure it out eventually. Thank you guys so much for your time today. Be sure to share my page, join the Discord, share the community, but also bring back the mystery schools, right? Bring back mystery schools, bring back knowledge so that we can become master alchemists of this experience that we call Earth, rather than sitting around complaining about what's been handed to us, and learn how to shapeshift things, shapeshift the quantum field, shapeshift your collective energy, and tune into yourself most importantly. So you guys have a great day, and I'm going to go ahead and end the stream.